Do you feel that you're in communication with different timeline versions of yourself, or as we like to call them, past lives? The past, present, and future are all happening at one time in the quantum field. That's why I like to call them different incarnations, so that we can see them through a different perceptual lens. But if you feel that this is you, that you already have connections, or you want to open up the lines of communication to them, I'm going to be sharing a soul retrieval that I did for a group of persons for their crown chakra, and it's going to give you insights for your own spiritual awakening journey as well for your crown chakra, but also to open up those lines of communication. So you're going to want to save this video so you can come back in the future as a reminder. And if you are interested in learning how to access these levels of the Akashic records for yourself or for family members, friends, clients, I have mentorships open and available in my bio or in the comments, and we'll go ahead and get into it. Hello and welcome to the crown chakra activation. I usually do these inside, but it was so nice outside today. I was like, oh, we're gonna go be with Mother Gaia and have all the ASMR vibes of the cicadas and crickets and what have you outside. So we were doing it out here today. When I went to your energy field, you were fixing, and as always, I'm going to be reading from my notes so I stay on track. You were fixing a bow tie that you were wearing, and it can look however you want it to look, but the main structure of it is a bow tie. You were looking in a mirror, like a full-length mirror, and we were in a room together. And I walked over and I said, would you like some assistance? Because, you know, sometimes it can feel a little difficult for yourself. And the bow tie is obviously symbolism. And when we are working with others, connecting with others, and the things that we're traversing through in life, it can make it an easier process, co-collaborating. And so you said, yes, I would love some assistance. I asked, what do you think the bow tie represents? And you said a coming of age, spiritually, your developmental journey, your self-concept, your self-love, a sign of wisdom. And the mirror also represents self-reflection. The bow tie looked like this with the color, the beautiful blue, again, a sign of wisdom. Very dapper, if you will. You said the bow tie has been encapsulating the knowledge I have gained over the years. I asked, why do you think that it is blue specifically? Now, something can be said for being blue and being near our throat chakra, but because we're working on the crown chakra today, I wanted to figure out why they're associated with one another. And you said, it's a reminder that peace is what I have been seeking all along. Peace is what I have been seeking all along. That's what helps me make decisions in life. Will this bring me peace? That is a question that has been underneath all of your decisions, whether you've been consciously aware of it or unconsciously aware of it. Your higher self has been. And that has been one of the biggest motivators for you. Will this bring me peace? And that's a question that we can continue to ask ourselves on our journey as well. I said, that sounds like a very good place to begin. Strong foundations of everything being rooted in peace. This is when you looked at me and asked, can I take you somewhere? I said, absolutely. And you grabbed my hand and both of us walked through the mirror and we were headed towards a different part of your consciousness. This is when we initially saw a giant stack of hay bales. If you ever seen one in a movie with a farm or have been to a farm before and they feed cows and horses with them, but a giant stack of hay bales. I asked, are we at a farm? Because oftentimes certain symbols will lead to associated ones. So I asked, are we at a farm? And you said, yes, this is where I'm growing my crops. Would you like to see? I said, of course I would. You know how there will be rows of plants? You have like potatoes, tomatoes, okra, spinach, cabbage. Instead of plants that we know of, I saw these otherworldly looking plants. I said, okay, these are very interesting. I've never seen these before. Brand new to me. And you said they're experimental. I said, okay. Like, what are we doing out here, pharmacology? And you told me that the plants represent your new ideas, projects, and creations. New ideas, projects, and creations. They're symbolic for them. You said they need time to propagate. We're going to go over the definition of propagation. The process by which new plants grow from various sources via cross-pollinating them. And a couple of examples of plants that we have here on Earth in the 3D plane are pomatoes, which is a cross between tomatoes and potatoes, sweet corn, and plum cots. Your higher self wanted me to include some tangible examples of them. However, these plants were not of this world. When I was talking to your higher self, I said, I see. You're starting to open up channels of communication with different timeline versions of yourself, or what we like to call past lives, but time's not linear. So past, present, and future all kind of happening at one time. So that's why I like to say different timelines. But they're different timeline versions of you, represented by these otherworldly plants. You are connecting with other versions of you that have high levels of brain connectivity. They are also neurodivergent or really good at brainstorming because of your advanced brain connectivity. So you can see alternative paths to infuse into your creations, ideas, and projects. I'm going to say that again in a more fluid way. I see you're starting to open up channels of communication with different timeline versions with high levels of brain connectivity, like neurodivergency or good at brainstorming. So you can see alternate paths to infuse into your creations, ideas, and projects. I asked your higher self what would support you in continuing to pour new life energy into your ideas, creations, and projects, or these plants as we see them here. And your higher self said awareness. Awareness that this is happening, connecting with different timeline versions of you. They mentioned to reach outside of yourself. Put your hand out into the quantum field. And what I envisioned, or what we were envisioning, is we were kind of standing in a black blank space. That's what your consciousness was seeing, the quantum field, with all these kind of lights going. And there was letters that were flying through the air. Like you would have an envelope where somebody sends you a letter, much like this bird is flying through the air. But I want you to think of like millions and billions and trillions of letters flying everywhere in the quantum field. Kind of giving Hogwarts energy, where Harry was receiving all of the letters and they kept on pouring in. Because I can't remember if he wasn't answering them or his caretakers weren't giving them to him. Either way, they just kept pouring in. So that's what we were kind of seeing here in the quantum field, of them just continuously zooming past us. Higher self was saying that when we go into meditation, or just throughout our day-to-day, you can get into meditative states or the flow state while you're doing activities. It doesn't necessarily have to just be sitting in the silence. It's more about the symbolic ritual of etherically putting your hand out in the quantum field to catch one of the letters. The letters are representatives of different ideas, projects, and creations that the other timeline versions of you have to offer you in this incarnation. So co-collaborative experiences. You're starting to open up the lines of communication with them more. That's why the symbolism of the letters passing in between all of you is coming through. Your higher self said they will be magnetized towards your signal. The signal being you putting your hand up in the air, but that's really just you being open to receiving new inspirations from your different timelines. They said they will be magnetized towards your signal. Open the letter that you grabbed with your hand and read the instructions. Your soul will know what to do with it, because some of the letters will have writing on them. This is when I saw you opening one. You know how there's a trifold letter? So you open the top and then the bottom, and you could read the writing. You understood what it was saying. Very clear directions. Then there are going to be some letters where you open it up blank, or it's using invisible ink. Those require a little bit more deciphering with your channeling and intuitive abilities, or maybe it's not in divine alignment yet, or it's something that needs to simmer in the background of your consciousness until enough of your brain connectivity has put certain points together, and then it's like that aha moment that you have of, oh my gosh, I should do this idea. but it doesn't all come to you at once because things are still unfolding for you to see the totality of the idea, the project, or the creation. Even if it does not have writing on it though, if you cannot see it with clarity, your higher self said your soul will know what to do with it. It will log it back there for later. It needs a longer gestation period, is what they said. This is when I saw an image of RuPaul in my mind, or in your mind. She has a saying, all will be revealed, and that's what your higher self was saying about some of these letters. What we are doing today with one another, opening up pathways of connectivity to your different timelines, because again, it's the awareness that is happening in the background, bringing it up to the forefront of your consciousness. And you might have already had inclinations of that, especially if you dabble in timeline healing, but they want you to really understand how prominent that is of coming online for you right now. Like, it's really about to amp up, giving your subconscious symbolism to hold on to, seeing ourselves in the quantum field and all the letters passing by and you holding your hand out as a signal and grabbing onto one of them, and the visualization technique, like actually walking yourself through that process, because it creates anchors in your consciousness so that you have a 3D imaginative journey that you can take yourself on. You're kind of getting stumped with the next steps forward. This will bring your mind at peace enough for you to open up to said quantum field and timelines to walk yourself through that journey. I asked your higher self if they had any final words of wisdom. They say, yes, I do. Remember to water the garden of your mind. Nourish the seeds that you have planted. You do this with kind thoughts and kind words to yourself. Kind thoughts and kind words. Speak into existence what you wish to see. Lean into your innovation. They really wanted to highlight that because oftentimes as neurodivergent persons, or if you're really good at brainstorming and thinking outside of the box, we can be ostracized by society of like, oh, why are you trying to do things different than everybody else? Well, that's what we are meant to do here, is be game changers. So they really want you to start seeing this as a beautiful gift for yourself and the collective in the world. So lean into your innovation. Creativity is birthed from you. Your imagination is the pail, the watering pail for your plants. Your imagination is the pail. Your thoughts are the water. The plants are your ideas, creations, projects. The soil is the foundation of your mind. The nutrients of the soil are your different timelines. The sun, the life force energy helping them grow. So we're going to run through that again so it's more cohesive. Remember to water the garden of your mind. Nourish the seeds you have planted. You do this with kind thoughts and kind words. Speak into existence what you wish to see. Creativity is birthed from you. Lean into your innovation. Your imagination is the pail. Your thoughts are the water. The plants, your ideas. The soil, the foundation of your mind. The nutrients are your different timelines. The sun being life force energy, which is helping them grow. You are the gardener. Tend your crops wisely and you will have a bountiful harvest. Some synchronicities that may have stuck out to you: the blue bow tie that you are wearing, that's the holder of all the wisdom and knowledge that you have gleaned over the years. Peace being what you have been seeking all this time and the root of the decisions that you are making in life. The mirror that we both walked into to a different part of your consciousness. The hay bales on the farm. The letters that we saw in the quantum field, or looking like Hogwarts. RuPaul, all will be revealed. Or the gardening references. Hello and welcome back. I would absolutely love to hear in the comments which of the synchronicities resonated with you the most and your biggest takeaways. If you would like to learn how to connect with the Akashic Records for yourself or others through soul journeys, which is a shamanic practice. I do have mentorships open and available in my bio or in the comments, and I'm wishing you the absolutely most magical day.